Are you frustrated with how this season's going, either for yourself personally or for your entire team? Maybe you set yourself up for this disappointment with your expectations for this year. Let's jump in and discuss. Welcome back to Hard Smart Together. I'm Coach Dave. I'm here every week to help you become a better basketball player by focusing on the mindset, the basketball IQ, the fundamentals, and the leadership skills that will help you play better, achieve your goals, and enjoy the game. So here we are. It's the end of February. It's the end of January. And we are approaching February. So you're, over the halfway point of your season. And it got me thinking, the beginning of January, so many people set their New Year's resolutions. And a lot of them by this time are disappointed because maybe they set too big of goals for themselves in too short of a period of time. It's funny. I do yoga at a local gym. This gym has, basketball courts and yoga studios and weights and everything, but I really have enjoyed for the last, several years going to yoga class on a regular basis. And my favorite month of yoga is February. And you might say, well, why February? Because as I put it, in February, I didn't have to deal with the quitters anymore. And what do I mean by that? That first week of January, it's a nightmare to get in and do yoga. Just getting into the parking lot, there's not as much parking. Then you come into the gym and sitting in front of the yoga studio is a lineup of fresh faces, all eager to go in, and this is the year that they're going to do maybe yoga every day of their life for the entire year, or they're going to, be in the best shape of their life. And maybe they set their New Year's resolution something to do with the gym. Maybe it's just, I'm going to go to the gym every day, and they set themselves up for disappointment. Now for me, it was a bit of a pain in the butt, right? Because they were in there, they'd take the regular spots, they'd, grab all the equipment. They weren't really familiar with the protocols of how class happened. Like I said, it was a hassle. So by February, all the quitters were gone, and us regulars could go into class and definitely have more of a yoga namaste experience without all those, as I used to put it, the quitters. But that happens for a lot of people. A lot of people at the beginning of the year, they set it up. It might be going to the gym, it might be losing weight, it might be, I'm going to read 300 books this year. It might be, it could be any type of goals, but their goals might set themselves up for disappointment. And the same thing can happen for athletes. The same thing can happen with a basketball season. What were the expectations you had for this season? What were the expectations you had for this year? For yourself, for your team? Maybe it was, this is the year we're going to go undefeated. We're going to win a championship. I'm going to become a starter. I'm going to make that team. I'm going to average 40 points a game. And I'm not saying those are necessarily unrealistic goals or expectations, depending on where you are in your process. But you might look back and go, maybe that was a little unrealistic. And maybe I set myself up for disappointment. So you don't want to get discouraged at this point in the season. You don't want to be disappointed with your season already. We still have months to go in our seasons. So how do we reset. Reset our expectations maybe for this season and reset how we approach our goals going forward. So Bill Gates had a great quote, and he said, listen, people tend to overestimate what they can accomplish in 1 year, but they also tend to underestimate what they can do in a decade, in 10 years. Now, a decade, especially, for a grade school career, a middle school career, a high school career, a college career, whatever point you are in your career, it's a little too long of a period of time. But I think the same thing can be approached. You can eliminate that over expectations of a year by making a more manageable time frame. So what's that time frame I suggest? I suggest 3 years. Because 3 years, you still can underestimate. Most people will underestimate what they can accomplish in 3 years, but you're going to tend to overestimate what you can accomplish in a year. But 3 years isn't so far away. 3 years isn't a decade away. Boy, where am I going to be in 10 years? 3 years is very manageable. So how do you take that 3-year period and use it to make more manageable goals that will keep you encouraged and not discouraged? Hey, I'll get back to the episode in just a second. I hope you're enjoying today's episode, and if you are, please share it. Share it with a player, share it with a parent, share it with a coach, anybody that you feel might need to hear it. I also wanted to give you a free gift that I've made available to you just for hanging out with me today. It's a checklist of skills for basketball players that want to become a better player, a better teammate, and to stand out to their coaches. Now, these skills are skills that are often overlooked, but they can be the foundation that a player can use to really achieve their goals. You can download it at hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. I'll put a link below in the description as well, but it's hardsmarttogether.com/intangibles. Now let's jump back to today's episode. First of all, I want you to picture where you'd like to be in 3 years. Maybe right now, you are a freshman in high school and you didn't make varsity or you didn't even make JV. Maybe you're on the freshman team. Picture where you'd like to be as a junior, a senior, okay? That's more manageable. That gives you more time to get to that place. And when you picture this 3-year you in the future, maybe you're a senior in high school and you are going to be going off and playing in college. Maybe it's your college career. Maybe it's from college to pro. Maybe it's from grade school to high school. It doesn't really matter. Maybe it's from bench player to starter. But make a more manageable time frame for your goals. Picture a 3-year you. Who are you at that point? What does that mean for your playing career? What skill sets can you pick up over the next 3 years? What can you accomplish over the next 3 years? I want you to have a vivid picture of who you want to be in 3 years. And then you can work backwards from that. And now we can make some more manageable goals that aren't going to disappoint you every season and every year. Does that make sense? So this more manageable time frame is one of the aspects of really having success in your mind and moving forward and being encouraged. But you can't just say, okay, I'm going to have a 3-year me. I think that you need to break down each year into segments. Let's break it down from 3 years to your year, each year that go into those 3 years. But even more, I want you to break down each year into segments. I like 4. When I work with a player, I like 4 segments. So right now, you're in your season. That's a great segment. Goals that you want for that season based on where you are and where you can be. Okay? The next segment might be your postseason. Okay, postseason is right after the season. That doesn't mean you have to jump into, you're probably going through a long season, your body's probably taxed. Maybe it's just, goals of stepping away from the game a little bit and getting your mind right and getting enthusiastic again for the game. Maybe it's, hey, during the season I didn't have as much time for my studies, and if you, like we said, if you want to go on and play in college someday, grades matter. So maybe it's, really postseason working on getting my grades to where they need to be, because during the season I didn't have as much time and I could really bring those up. Maybe it's taking things that happen during the season and studying it to work on kind of your basketball IQ, and letting your body rest. Maybe it's playing a different sport, to kind of get your competitive fire back. I don't know what your postseason looks like, but it's another segment, right? And then there's typically your off season or your summer segment. What goals do you want for yourself in your summertime? That's usually a great time for skill development. Again, for basketball IQ, maybe for some mindset work, accomplishments with your club team, whatever the case might be. But having a segment which is your off season. And then I like to separate a segment which is preseason. And that's preparing for the upcoming, I know that a lot of you guys play year round now, but the upcoming, high school, college, grade school, whatever it is that you're playing, your traditional basketball season. And that's a preparation of maybe, understanding, what your coach is going to want out of you during the season, and developing those skill sets, developing that basketball IQ, developing that mindset, whatever the case might be for you personally. But each segment can be broken down into a number of goals and a number of things that you can accomplish, all within the mind of, oh yeah, I'm working towards that 3-year meet. Okay? Don't disappoint yourself by just going, this year is when I'm going to get to the 3-year meet. No, know that that's a journey. That's a long journey that can be separated by years, and it can be separated within the year by segments. So right now you're in your season segment, and I hope it's going fantastic. I hope you're blowing out all the goals you set for yourself. But if you're not, if you're disappointed right now and where you're at, it might be time for a reset. Find that 3-year you, picture that 3-year you, and go, okay, I've got a couple of months left in the season. What can I do for the rest of the season that's going to help me going forward, that's going to help me next season? Maybe I can do some more film study and have a better understanding of what coach wants, so that when we get together next season, I'm prepared. Maybe I can learn to embrace my role better and have a better attitude, so that, next year I get more playing time. Whatever the case might be, maybe it's time to reset your expectations for this season so that you're no longer disappointed by those lofty goals you set yourself at the beginning of the year that maybe were a little unrealistic. So it's not too late to adjust your goals for this segment, your in-season segment, and start setting your goals for your postseason. Start setting your goals for your off-season. Get prepared for what are the steps I need to take in order to make progress this year and eventually get to that 3-year meet, that 3-year picture of who I want to be as a player and as a person down the road. So you'll be surprised. You might underestimate what you can accomplish in those 3 years, but don't, set yourself up for the disappointment of overestimating what's going to happen the remainder of this season. What I'd like you to do now is, hopefully this was useful for you, but share. Share in the comments below, what are your goals for 3 years from now? Who would you like to be 3 years from now? What can you do for the rest of this season that will put you on a path to achieving that 3-year picture in your head? Okay? And I'd love to see those comments. I'll jump in. Would love to, see what's going on with you guys during the season. So until next time, hopefully you enjoyed this chat. Until next time, Remember to play hard, play smart, and most importantly, play together. Thanks. See you next week.